Charlene, come on up.
It's mee hoon kueh ravioli. It's inspired by the local dish mee hoon kueh. I made a seafood paste and then I used that to fill the ravioli together with an egg yolk.
You're hoping that it's going to be runny.
I hope so.
The conundrum here is you want to keep the egg raw, but you want to cook everything else. There's a very fine line here.
Ooh.
I see yellow.
A perfectly cooked egg yolk.
Remember when I came to you and I said mee hoon kueh is my favorite thing to eat in the morning? Now, if I can eat mee hoon kueh like this every day, I'll be very, very happy. This is the kind of dishes we want to see in MasterChef.
You've made your noodle dough very silky and thin. I think there's a certain delicacy and refinement with what you've done there. So when you walk back to your bench later, I want you to walk like that, okay? With your head held really high, because this dish, outstanding. Thank you.
All right. Was that amazing or what? Give a thumbs up on the chat. A thumbs up on the chat. Okay, amazing. That is a dish that is not from a recipe book. It's created by this lady herself in that time frame where you have to compete with all the cameras and the lights shining at you, with 3 established bona fide restaurateurs as judges. You know, judging you is not an easy feat. So you are in luck, my dear HTC friends. Fuyo! Yes, again, Melissa, fuyo. Really, not Uncle Roger, but Auntie Charlene. Okay? You are in luck because we will be replicating this right here, live, immediately now, how you can do this. So after today's session, tomorrow onwards, you are all MasterChef. MasterChef. Type in there, MasterChef. Woohoo! Okay. All right. So now, without further ado, I want you to give all the hearts and loves that you can. We should have about 200 people over. There should be easily 600 loves and hugs. Come on, give a warm welcome to our MasterChef, Charlene. All right. Hello, madam.
Hello.
Hello, everybody.
Yes. Auntie Charlene's in the house.
Show some love for Charlene, okay? Now, Charlene, that was really an amazing clip. I will ask you a little bit more about that recipe that you did. But I think a lot of us are also excited to know how this is done. Again, we'll be doing this step by step along the way. Okay? So please pay attention, guys. This is a once in a lifetime session. Charlene,
Yes.
have you been enjoying the entire HTC season so far?
Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes, we have been diligently watching the whole series, for those sessions that were on Zoom. And then, of course, the day one when we were doing the walk at the National Stadium, it's lots of fun. Although Charlene was conducting a class at that time, so she wasn't there. But rest assured, as promised, she will be there in person tomorrow at the Conrad Hotel. I have specifically set a booth for her to answer all your queries on this dish, if you have to, and any other thing else as well, okay? Okay, Charlene,
Yes.
without further ado, would you like to share with us exactly what are we doing today?
Okay, so we are going to do a plant-based version, of the mee hoon kueh ravioli.
So the one that you did wasn't actually plant-based?
No. Yeah. So on the show, it was a mystery box challenge, and you are limited by whatever's in the box. So when I lifted the box, they had things like, I think it was goat's milk, there were some local prawns, fish, etc. And I think we had a little bit of plain flour. And one of the first things that came to my mind when I saw the flour was mee hoon kueh, because they're very limited ingredients, right? And when I saw the prawns and the fish, I thought, okay, I could make a broth that I can cook the mee hoon kueh in. So that's how it came about, because my husband and my kids love to eat mee hoon kueh, right? And ban mian, basically. Okay. And I think it was one of the last few dishes that I cooked for them before I went for the competition.
Okay. Yeah. Now, those of you, any one of you enjoy mee hoon kueh one, type yes, please.
Hey,
yes,
Chris and Charlene, not only yes.
Mee hoon kueh is something we will tend to eat a little bit more, right? Together with fish soup and things like that. Because we always think it's a little bit more on the healthy side, less heavy. So definitely, yes. But we're going to do it with a twist. We're going to do it with a twist today, yes. Right? Okay. So let's see how we can bring this amazing mee hoon kueh to another level.
Another level. Okay, so I'm going to try and demo the egg yolk version, and of course a simplified version as well for those of you who really cook for yourself and you don't want to spend so much time and effort to kind of make your dish so complicated. Okay, so we have limited time. We are definitely going to start with the flour first. We're going to make a simple dough with just plain flour. This is regular plain flour or all-purpose flour. Add in a little bit of water. I would say add the water in a little bit at a time. Give this a stir, and we want this to come together into a dough. So initially the dough may seem kind of dry, but if you knead it a bit, it will come together, okay? If it's still too dry, you add a bit more water, a bit at a time. For those of you that have attended my sourdough class, this is not like the sourdough class. For this dough, we don't need such a high hydration. We just need it to kind of stick together. Let me put it on the board, and I knead a bit for you.
Okay. For those of my dear friends who are very concerned with the recipe measurement, today we in the presence of Master Chef. Master Chef don't tell you how many grams. No, just a joke. We do have the slides with the exact measurements, okay? But it's really about the feel. So Charlene is really just adding on the water now. Yeah.
I always tell you to mix your dough with your hands, right? If even for the sourdough class. So really, I would say it depends also on the brand of flour you use. It will change. For this dough, unlike your sourdough bread, we actually want it to be start off a little bit drier because as it absorbs, the dough will kind of soften up. Okay.
Ivory is asking, can we use sourdough discard to make this?
Can you use sourdough discard to make this? You probably could incorporate a little bit. It might make your dough a little bit more slack and sticky. If your discard is very old and acidic, it may relax the gluten a bit much, and then your dough will be a bit stickier, so you might need a bit more flour. So if you want to use discard, you can add a little bit, but not too much. Okay, because for this one, we don't need the yeast for rising. The discard is just more for a bit of flavor and just to clear the stock, right?
Okay, I hope that answers your question, Ivory. And please keep the questions coming in because I'll be helping to facilitate and also ask some questions to Chef Charlene. If you have any.
So I have added just enough water for the dough to kind of come together, and you can see I can actually use it to clean up my fingers. It's not going to stick that much.
So that will be a sign to say that we have reached the consistency.
More or less. It's actually quite a stiff dough. As you can see, it's quite dry and stiff because as it sits around, it will soften up. Okay? You can at this point kind of knead it.
Okay, Jane, we are preparing mee hoon kueh, Master Chef style. Okay? Susie, we did not add eggs, so it's just flour and water.
Not yet, yeah. This is just flour and water at this point, okay? Just flour and water. So we just make this dough, knead it until it's kind of smooth, and then we will let this rest for a while because it is very stiff. It will not stretch, okay? So you need to kind of relax this dough a little bit, and I would say there's no real hard and fast rule. If you find that if you added too much water by accident, just add a little bit more flour back in until you get a dough that is not sticky. It should be kind of soft, soft but stiff slightly. Okay.
Okay, so Chef, if let's say we mentioned resting the dough, right?
Yes.
Do we rest it covered or exactly like that?
Yes.
Or with a cloth
so you can either cling wrap the dough completely by itself, or you can put it in a bowl and then cling wrap the bowl. You will need to cover it, otherwise the dough is going to dry out. Okay, so we just cling wrap this, we let this rest. Okay, and I have
temperature?
Yeah, room temperature.
Okay, so you don't need to, Veronica, I hope you can hear me. We don't need to actually rest this in the fridge, just at room temperature covered, just to recap a little bit. Okay.
Okay, so this dough has been rested. You can see the difference in the texture. It's a lot softer, right? It's a lot softer, it's more pliable. Okay, so when it has reached, it's rested, I would say about 20-30 minutes, then we can roll it out, okay, to do the ravioli. Yeah.
Maimon is asking, can use the shower cap too, right, Chef?
Yes.
To rest the dough. Yes, can cover. Make
those
sure
of you
the
that
one
gone
is
for
only
sourdough.
used to cover your sourdough one, not the one that you use to cover your hair one.
Okay.
Rest for how long once again, Molly is asking?
20 to 30 minutes.
Thereabouts in room temperature, 20 to 30 minutes. Just let it rest beforehand. So technically, you can actually do a lot of things in between while you are resting the dough. Janet, there's no seasoning. It's just purely flour and water.
Okay, so while this dough, while your dough is resting, right, you should, if you are at home, be boiling your stock or preparing other ingredients for your mee hoon kueh. Okay? So Chef Chris is going to help me with the stock part. We're going to heat this up. We have some stock prepared. And we're going to show you the ingredients inside the stock.
Okay, so this is a stock. So this will be the actual soup, right? That we'll be dishing the ravioli with.
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll cook the ravioli in this. So if you have come for my one pot meal class, this is the basic stock that I teach in class as well. We use daikon, you can see, white radish. We've got kombu. Kombu is actually like a big piece of like kelp. Right? You can get this from the Japanese or the Korean supermarkets. Okay. And we actually use some of the liquid from soaking the dried mushrooms. We add some of that in as well so that it doesn't go to waste. Okay. At the same time, today I have some extra like soya beans, soaked soya beans. So this is optional. You don't need the soya beans. If you've come for one pot meal class, we didn't put any soybeans. At this point, can you season the stock? You can season to taste. If you are, on a low sodium diet, then you don't have to add any salt. The kelp itself does add a little bit of saltiness to the soup. So it really depends on your own personal preference and your diet. But if you want to season it, just a little bit of salt or soya sauce or even fish sauce, a good quality fish sauce will work. Okay?
Okay, how long would we need to boil this down for?
For about, I would say, a good 30 minutes or so.
30 minutes, please type in there 30 minutes, my dear friends, because this actually is the essence of it, right? You want a nice flavorful broth. So remember, 30 minutes, all these few ingredients here. In fact, it's really simple. Remember once again, the mushroom water that is used to actually have as the liquid. Okay, 30 minutes maximum.
Okay. Not maximum. I mean, you can boil longer if you have the time.
Okay.
And if you want to save even more time, use something like a thermopot. So you can boil it before you go to work. And by the time you come home from work, your stock is ready. Yes,
that's another very good way to make time to cook, because sometimes while we are doing the dough, we are literally standing there watching the dough for that 20 to 25 minutes. But in between, you can actually do a lot of things to get things going. Okay. Now, this is actually also designed for one. You can also do it for the entire family. Okay.
So I'm going to show you how we roll out the ravioli dough. After it has rested and it's pliable, we're going to use a pasta roller. Okay, because it gives me a nice even dough. If you don't have a pasta roller, yes, you can use a rolling pin. Or later I will show you the manual method. Okay, we just pinch pieces. Okay. So we're going to use the pasta roller. You start from the largest number.
Again, my dear friends, don't rush out to go and buy yourself a pasta roller. You can, as Charlene has mentioned, use a rolling pin. Of course, with this, if you have one in your cabinet, please make use of it. What is in the soup base, Jane? I'm going to recap a little bit. We have daikon, which is radish. We have kelp or kombu, which we are using to boil it down. And the liquid is actually the water that has been used to soak the dried mushrooms. Okay, some soybeans have been added in this case. It's definitely optional. You can also season this with a little bit of salt or soya sauce. Cook it minimally at least for 30 minutes or longer if you have to. All right? Okay.
So what I'm doing is I'm actually rolling out the dough. You notice I flour the dough, flour thoroughly so that it doesn't stick to the rollers. Okay, so as you go, you move from the largest number to the smaller number, so it gets progressively thinner as we go down the line. Okay.
So the whole idea is to get a really thin...
Quite thin, I would say. Depending on your pasta roller, you can probably go to maybe the lowest or the second lowest number, depending on how thick you would like your dough to be. Okay. So I'm going to go down to number 1. And let's see whether it works.
Jane, kombu is actually kelp. So you can find that in the supermarkets, usually in the Japanese or Korean section. It's a really firm piece of dark greenish, brownish kind of seaweed kelp look.
Okay, so there we go. So we've got the thin layer of dough. If I put my fingers under, you can kind of just barely see my fingers.
Yes,
barely.
We can actually see.
We don't want it too thin, because if it's too thin, it's going to fall apart. And you don't want it too thick either, otherwise your mee hoon kueh will be kind of like chewy. Okay, so if it gets too long, you can kind of cut it down in half a little bit. You need this to be wide enough for you to fit a cutter, like a ring like this. Okay. Now, the ring needs to be, I would say, medium to large size. You need space for your egg yolk in the middle, and you need space around the border so that you can seal the sides. Okay,
I hope you are following.
So if you don't have a ring mold, just recycle some old can, a glass, a big glass or whatever, or a, you know, like a small rice bowl, just use it as your cutter, okay?
Yes, yes. A bowl would do as well. Okay, so daikon is a radish, white radish. Okay. Now again, for those of you who prefer to do the traditional mee hoon kueh, Chef Charlene will also be showing you. Actually, it's from the same dough, you know, just that you don't have to go through this process of rolling it. For those of you who are a little bit confused, you know, as we mentioned, ravioli, what is that? It's actually really like a stuffed pasta dish. You know, in the Italian concept, it's usually a stuffed pasta where they will put in some fillings like a wonton. So in this case, we are really doing a mee hoon kueh version of it. Okay? Can keep your questions coming in, my dear friends. It's a Friday. You should be hungry. You should be very, very hungry because we will be seeing you tomorrow at the Conrad Hotel. Okay.
So what I've done is I've used the ring cutter and I've cut circles out of the dough. Okay. You will need 2 circles for 1 ravioli.
Okay.
All right. Okay, now let's go on to the filling. So we're going to put this aside and we'll come back to this later. Okay, let's do the filling. So because it is a vegetarian version, we're going to use tofu as our filling. So this is some silken tofu.
Silken tofu, my dear friends.
You could use tau kwa, you get a firmer kind of filling.
Okay, so it's doable.
Yeah, you can do silken tofu.
Okay.
Yeah, on the show I used a mixture of prawns and fish meat. Okay, so we just mash this tau kwa. Now if you have a mini food processor, you can put it in a food processor and just give it a blitz and it will like chop everything for you. So that's also another way to save time, okay? To put everything in the food processor. Otherwise, your tofu is pretty soft. You use a fork and you just mash it. If you like more texture, then, you know, leave it a little bit coarser. And if you like it finer, you can mash it until it's a really, really fine paste, okay? So I would say it really depends on the texture that you like. So I'm going to leave Chef Chris to continue mashing this for me.
Yes, madam.
Thank you. Okay.
Today, I'm the tofu masher.
And then we're going to add in some other things for flavor. So I have here a little bit of ginger. You can chop, to taste, right? Just cut a small slice, mince it up, maybe 1 clove of garlic or half a clove, or you can omit if you don't like, okay?
Now, these are all really amazing good stuff. Ginger, of course, by now you should all know the good benefits of ginger. Always have a little bit here and there in your food.
For some color and flavor, we can put in some minced coriander, Chinese parsley. Okay.
We are trying to create like a meat paste, right?
Yeah.
So what essentially we are doing is like doing a minced meat version, plant-based, so that there's no meat at all.
Okay. So you can use the same filling and put it into, say, yong tau fu, you know, and use it as a yong tau fu stuffing as well. So I have here some minced garlic and ginger, which I had pre-minced earlier on. Okay, we just add that in and mix that up too. Okay. Now for some texture, we're going to add in some dried mushrooms. Let me show you the dried mushrooms here. Okay, dried mushrooms.
So these are the mushrooms that we have used to soak for the broth, you know, the water, and then the mushrooms we are actually using. So water chestnut, and we have this dried black fungus.
So you don't have to have all of the ingredients. The mushrooms and the dried fungus, these are things that are dry. They are easy to store. They last for a really long time. So you can keep them in your pantry and then you just soak what you need. It can be 1 mushroom, 2 mushrooms, right? 1 small piece of black fungus. Yeah. Water chestnuts are optional, but they add great texture, crunchiness, as well as a bit of sweetness to the mixture as well. Because we're using tofu instead of real meat, we don't have that texture. Okay, so we want to add that texture back in by using some other ingredients that are a little bit firmer and add a little bit of crunch.
Okay. But then again, my dear friends, you know, don't be just restricted with this particular set of ingredients. You know, be flexible. Whatever you have in your kitchen, in your pantry, play around with it. There's no right or wrong in making dishes like this. And I think that adds value to what you are really cooking. You know, you really have your own creative flair to create something like this. Okay? Very quiet on the screen. Whenever you're quiet, I always say, very worried. Ella, yes, can use bamboo shoots.
Yes, of course. Bamboo shoots or like bangkwang, you know.
Yes, bangkwang.
What's
jikama.
Jikama.
Yeah, we can use those as well.
For the dried mushrooms, you want to cut away the stem. You can use them if sometimes the stems are softer. You can actually chop them up. They add great texture as well. Or you can just use the stalks depending on your personal preference. Now, because we're going to put this into the ravioli as a filling, your added ingredients need to be small enough Okay, if they are too chunky and too big, it will poke holes in your dumpling.
Okay, key point, remember, your ingredients has to be fine enough. Don't put chunky stuff. Don't go and happily throw one broccoli inside, my dear friends, please. Whatever Chef Charlene is doing, she's really mincing it up. So you're in line with the mashed tofu, with all your aromatics as well. So it does very nicely fill up your ravioli. Okay? Can,
Okay. And then finally the black fungus. You can chop this a bit shorter and finally mince this.
You know, ever since I just now I mentioned, right, Charlene came aboard, we have been really well fed, to be honest, really. She has been cooking really amazing things. We are her guinea pigs. She's really testing out a lot of weird things, but really flavorful and interesting things. And it's really good fun, okay? Okay, don't worry, I hope, thank you, at least you are paying attention, because it's really important to be able to replicate some of this if you can, you know. Really you can impress this, and it's, again now, Master Chef approved standard one, no, don't play, okay? Okay, so we've got everything, so I'll go back to my job
yes,
then. Okay.
Yes, so you can mince all that, okay? The other thing we need to prepare, if you want to do the ravioli, the egg yolk ravioli, is of course the egg yolk, okay? Now, for this, you need really fresh eggs. I don't know how fresh my eggs are. I hope they are fresh enough. Okay, I hope so. I hope so. Yeah, I hope so.
Okay.
So,
yes, Rika, don't mind being a guinea pig. Please always drop by.
let's see whether the eggs are fresh enough. Okay. Oops. Here we go. Okay. Nope. Not very. Not good enough. Because if it's not super fresh, you can see the egg yolk is going to break on its own. There, you can't get it. Can you get it?
So what you want is actually a real fresh egg.
Yeah. So if it's gonna break, then you can't use it. It has to be really fresh enough.
So what Chef Charlene is doing, if you have watched the video earlier, is really to replicate that very interesting way to have an amazing egg yolk in the middle of your ravioli. As it oozes out, really quite amazing. So the key thing is you have to get the freshest eggs you can find. So please make sure you have fresh eggs. Now, if you have stale eggs, something is very wrong. Something is very wrong. Shouldn't happen. Okay.
So you want the egg yolk only. Now let's put in some filling here and let's hope it fits, okay? Because today's ring roll is a little bit tiny, tiny. Okay, now we're going to season the tofu and all. Let's put in some seasoning.
Okay, so we have been mashing the mushrooms, the black fungus, the aromatics, okay, and as well as the water chestnut. So what we're going to do is we're also going to be seasoning this a little bit, right? As Chef Charlene is doing now. So what we will have is Himalayan salt.
Pinch of salt.
Okay, not too much, just a little bit, just to get the flavors engaged.
Pinch of coconut palm sugar is optional, but I usually add a little bit of sugar to balance the saltiness.
Yes, a really amazing, once again, this coconut palm sugar, I cannot stress more than enough.
Pinch of white pepper.
Okay.
Sesame oil. Little bit.
Just a little bit. Okay. Now, these are all the things that you have at home for sure. So you don't have to go out sourcing for all this.
Soy sauce, because it's liquid and I wouldn't add too much. That's why I substitute a little bit of salt as well. Because if it's too liquid, if your tofu is too wet, it's going to affect the skin. Okay.
So it's really mashed like a nice, how should I describe this?
Paste.
Like a nice paste.
So it should kind of hold together. Like if you can see, if I press it with a spoon, it can kind of hold its shape a little bit. Yeah. Right. So it's not super wet. It's not very dry, but it needs to be able to kind of hold its shape that little bit.
Okay, Ivory is asking, do we need to cook the water chestnut first?
No, you can eat them raw.
Yes, raw water chestnuts.
Okay. So I'm going to put a little bit of filling in the middle of my dumpling.
I hope you can see this.
Just a little bit.
Okay.
Because I need space for the egg yolk. This is going to hold the egg yolk also.
Okay, when it comes to this, there's definitely no recipe measurement on this because really it depends on the size of your dough. So you really have to understand how much to put. Sometimes less is more because you will be incorporating other things to allow it to hold.
Okay. Let's scoop out the egg yolk. Now, I know it's gross. I like to use my fingers because your fingers are more gentle than a spoon.
Yes.
So I always tell my kids to to crack the egg and then use your fingers, and then you open up your fingers a little bit. The excess egg white is going to kind of drip through your fingers. Okay, and then you're left with the egg white, the egg yolk in your hand. Okay, so very gently, I'm going to place the egg yolk here in the middle and hope it doesn't break. Okay, that little bit of egg white, I'm kind of just going to spread it around the edges.
That's very interesting, right? It helps to actually stick.
So not enough, take a little bit of egg white and just spread it around the edges a little bit. And then we can seal it with a second layer of skin.
How did you even come up with an idea like this within that short period of time?
I have no idea. But I mean, okay, on MasterChef, I used to watch a lot of MasterChef.
Okay.
And they always, this is one of the things they like to do, right? To show off an egg yolk ravioli. They always do it as a pasta.
Okay.
Right? But I was thinking, you know, pasta is just, mi hong kueh dough is like a pasta dough. So maybe we can do the same thing with like a mi hong kueh dough. And then do an Asian fusion kind of thing.
Okay, so I hope you all are following so far. Today's standard is a little bit high, so please pay attention. Atas mi hong kueh, yes, very creative. Yeah. So this one is once in a blue moon we get to show this. So please diligently pay attention. What we are doing is really
I'm using a fork and I'm just gently crimping the edges gently, just to kind of make sure that they hold together. Okay. So be careful as you go around. If your fingers are too wet or the dough gets too wet, just put a little bit of flour.
Okay. Should I get the pot of water?
Yes, you can start boiling the pot of water. Okay. So if it gets too wet, that's why don't put too much egg white. If it gets too wet, just put a little bit of flour just to kind of dry it out a little bit. Okay. So that you can handle the dough. So we just gently kind of crimp the sides just to seal it up a little bit and make sure that it doesn't come loose. Okay.
Now, when you use the fork, my dear friends, please don't go and press the egg yolk Please make sure you gently at the sides. Don't go and mash the egg yolk. Otherwise, that one not Master Chef. That one Master Bobo. Okay.
Okay, so it's boiling, right?
Yes.
So I would say you want to kind of cook the fillet, and because we're using tofu, we don't have to worry a lot. Because tofu, even if it's raw, is perfectly edible, especially silken tofu. Okay, so I'm not very worried. It's more of a worry if you're using raw seafood and meat. Okay. To keep the egg yolk nice and raw, I would say we just need to blanch it for maybe about 2 minutes, max 3 minutes maybe.
Okay.
Okay.
I think some of the challenges when we cook eggs, especially when we want that really nice, soft onsen kind of eggs, it's always timing, right? But in this case, I think Charlene has mentioned, it's just about 2 minutes to blanch, 3. Because you have the dough itself, you have the tofu itself. So 2 minutes is just about right. Okay. So we are going to do one more here, as you can see, gently, just gentle fingers. This one really have to be a little bit used, so to speak. Again, fresh eggs, fresh eggs. Jean, what is the size of our cutter?
Wow.
Do I know?
This is probably a 2 to 2.5 inch.
2 to 2.
I would say you could use a slightly larger cutter. It will make your life a bit easier. This one's a little bit small, but the egg yolk fits just nice inside.
Okay.
Okay, but you can use a slightly larger cutter if you have it, or recycle a can or something.
Yeah.
Okay?
So if you are really interested to do the exact same way, just imagine the size of your egg yolk. You just need a cutter that can cover it to allow the fork to press. Okay. Rika, you are drooling already. I don't know whether it can last until tomorrow or not. Ivory also she said cannot.
Cannot. It doesn't like. Okay, this is only good like freshly boiled. Seriously, I cannot even pre-make the dumpling and then boil it. You can't make it in the morning or the night before and then boil it for the next day. It doesn't keep well. It really doesn't, because the moisture from your filling and from your egg will actually soften up the dough, and then everything starts to stick together, and the egg yolk will actually break up as well. Okay. So I've put the dumpling in. If the camera comes a bit closer, they can zoom into the pot. You can see the dumpling kind of half floating inside the water. So we stir it on a bit gently.
But it's really pretty, the egg yolk is really looking like a whole, an actual egg itself, and you can see the tofu resting below, really supporting it.
So it's on a simmer. I would say put it on a simmer. If the water is boiling too vigorously, it might actually damage the dumpling. And you can see that the dumpling will actually kind of start to float up once it's about ready. You see, like this. Okay, so you start to float up. So we give it maybe about another minute or so because we want to keep the egg yolk nice and soft. At the same time, we want to heat up and cook the dough. Okay. So we let this boil for another minute or so, and then I can also show you the traditional method.
Okay. So we're going to move on, traditional method.
As well as the pan mian method.
Yes.
Okay.
Ella, coming to us. By the time you reach, already in my stomach. Sorry. How long?
Okay.
How long can we keep the wrapped ravioli in the fridge? You mean the dough, right? Or the ravioli? Ravioli, Esther, if you're asking whether with the egg yolk, cannot. Immediately you have to cook ready. Okay, Jovinia, the pot is actually simmering, close to boiling.
It's like a low temperature boil.
Low temperature boil, small bubbles. Okay, small bubbles.
So let me show you the pan mian method, and then after we do the normal mi hun kueh. Okay.
If ravioli is without egg yolk, can you keep or not?
Okay, if you make the dough just plain, you can wrap this in cling wrap. You can store the dough plain, but the dumpling itself with the egg yolk, no.
No.
Okay.
That means the dough like this, just now when we rest it, you can actually keep. The minute you add in fillings, right, do it on the spot immediately. Jane, yes, all-purpose flour.
Bowl for plating.
Which one you want?
The bowl for plating?
Yes.
Where did it go?
Can we use this?
Oh yeah. Okay, this one.
So remember, don't put your filling and keep in the fridge, especially there's tofu and everything inside. So about 2 minutes, chef is bringing it up. I can see the egg yolk is really jiggy.
So balik. Flip this around. Oh, I can't.
Wow, this one, you go and open one shop at Tanjong Pagar.
Cannot flip.
I think your CBD crowd every day come and eat for you this
Cannot,
mee hoon kueh. Become mee hoon kueh millionaire.
You cannot have too much, okay? Because this is one egg yolk in each dumpling, you know.
Yeah.
So it is a lot of cholesterol.
A very good point to note. Please don't do 6 amazing MasterChef ravioli and eat, because you'll be having 6 egg yolks in your stomach. A bit too much. This one is really to challenge yourself a little bit. Okay? So we are going to do the traditional mee hoon kueh thing.
Yeah, so okay, I'm just rolling this out again, and
I got a feeling a lot, there'll be a few don't even know what is mee hoon kueh. Anybody don't know what mee hoon kueh, better ask. Anybody know? Mee hoon kueh is what? You all know, right? You all should know. It's like pan mian.
Yeah.
Okay? It's really the one you see at those noodles shop. Yes, Jane. So if you can do this way also.
Yep.
This one is for those that don't want too much trouble don't want to put egg yolk, all this. You just do the simple way.
So if you have a pasta roller, use the pasta roller. If you want to make pan mian,
you're not from another planet.
if you want to make pan mian, you can use the noodle cutting, the one that's for like fettuccine or linguine. Okay, the flat one. Let's see if it cuts here.
Wow, you see, so easy. Lai liao. Who is going to ask me where to buy this pasta maker from? Buy the cheap one. Don't need to buy expensive ones.
So we have our pan mian. Okay. Now, if you're going to do this pan mian version using the pasta roller, do not roll it to number 1. So for the ravioli, I can make the skins a bit thinner, but for the noodles, you need them a little bit thicker so they've got a bit more bite. Okay. So you might want to leave them a bit thicker, like at a number 3 maybe. Depends on the pasta roller, honestly.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, T, you're right. Lazada, you can get xiao huat, a little bit more expensive. You know, try to go. I saw cheap ones at Mustafa also. Start off with a cheap one because it can go really quite expensive. If you are not really doing this constantly, you know,
so
you don't need to invest.
I have the noodles. There you go. Right. So this is like a pan mian version.
Okay.
And you can flour them. This one, I mean, if you want to do this like in bulk, it is possible. People do this with pasta. They make it in bulk, they shape it into little balls, and then they air dry it until it's completely dry. But recently, our weather's been kind of humid. It might actually grow mold before it even dries out properly.
So unless you have a
dehydrator. Yeah. Okay. So I would say it's not difficult. I would just make it fresh when you want to eat it because fresh noodles are the best.
Yes, definitely agree.
So this is the pan mian version, right? Which I can throw in, and then Chef Chris can kind of boil for me.
Yes, boss.
So just give it a stir again with balls, maybe a minute or 2 until the noodles kind of start to float up, right? We want to keep a little bit of bite, so we don't want it to be like super soft. Okay. And then for the other version, right? The mee hoon kueh, let's say the traditional version, the mee hoon kueh. Now mee hoon kueh actually traditionally is just done by hand, right? You just take your dough and you flatten it out into pieces like this, right? And then you make them, stretch them. It doesn't have to be perfect, right? It will not be perfectly even. I just make my kids do this for me, and then they throw in the pot, and then after that, everybody eats. Okay, and they're perfectly happy eating all their funny shapes. Okay, so there the ban mian is ready.
So
That's
guys,
one.
you can see it's really al dente. Yes, exactly, Ella. Al dente.
Okay.
Amazing, fresh, homemade noodles.
Yeah. Then
And it's really simple, right? Just flour and water.
yep.
So this is really the old
Yeah,
school
this is
way.
the
lah.
old school way.
You just
Like
tear.
the grandma, the ama way.
The ama way.
Okay, the modern ones in the like the food courts and all the ban mian shops, they will roll it out on the pasta roller and make it thin. Then they tear it or they cut it with a knife. But it's more authentic and rustic if you kind of tear it by hand because it's more fun and the texture is a bit better because it's uneven. It's got a bit more bite. Okay. So we just need to boil until they float up. They really don't take very long. It's just flour. Okay, once they float up, they are more or less ready. If you're not sure, eat one and then just check the texture in your mouth.
Yes.
Okay?
Can we actually use different kinds of gluten-free flour to do this?
No, I am sorry.
Okay.
You see, if you don't have gluten, you will not even get a dough like this. The gluten-free flours, they add xanthan gum. If you have enough gums, they may actually hold up. So unless you have celiac disease or you are really allergic to gluten, otherwise I would use a regular plain flour also because it's cheaper.
Okay, Charlotte, Lina, it is all-purpose flour. We are using all-purpose flour and with water as well.
It's just water and flour, literally.
Yes.
I didn't add any egg or any seasoning or anything. It was just water and flour.
T is asking, what about buckwheat?
Okay, I think you could try, but buckwheat has a pretty strong flavor.
Yes.
It has a strong flavor, so it may not be an authentic tasting mee hoon kueh in that sense. If you don't mind an Asian fusion kind of thing, it would work fine. But for buckwheat, you may need a little bit more water because it absorbs a bit more water. The dough might be a bit drier and stiffer. Okay, you get a kind of a soba tasting mee hoon kueh if you use a buckwheat flour.
It has a very nice rough edginess as well, the buckwheat. Intan is asking, can we use the same flour for baking? Baker's choice?
Yes.
Yes, all-purpose baking
okay,
flour.
rye flour, when you add water, it has a bit of a gumminess, right? It has a bit of gumminess, so it doesn't quite work that way. Arrowroot flour is not really flour, it's actually a starch. So it doesn't work the same
Sally,
way.
we cannot use arrowroot flour.
Any starches like cornstarch, potato starch, tapioca starch, they won't work because they would actually just disintegrate into your water. It wouldn't work, okay?
Okay, flour-water ratio really, just now as we were doing it.
Hand feel.
Yeah, hand feel. What you want to do is add a little bit of water, mix it up, and then slowly allow it to come to a dough stage. But rest assured, later you will get the recipe breakdown as well. So, but don't bog yourself down with the exact measurement because it's really by hand. As you can see here, I'm going to show you, we have the noodle version that was done up easily, and also the mee hoon kueh, the traditional version, which is just hand-on, thrown into the water. As long as it floats up, it's done. And as you have seen just now, it's really quick. Okay.
Okay. So other things that can go in, I mean, it's up to you really. There's vegetables inside the soup that you can eat them as well as part of your meal, or you can add some additional greens. So today I've got some bok choy, 小白菜.
So this is really
Just gonna
free play, right?
blanch
They
it.
can add anything they want, right?
Yeah, they can. So you can use whatever you have in your fridge. Okay, so I'm just going to blanch the 小白菜. I think give it 30 seconds or so. Then
really
Chef Chris
smells
can
good.
like fish it out. Okay.
It really smells very clean. This kind of broth, you really enjoy it because it just feels very light, very flavorful, a very nice tinge of umami there.
Okay.
So you won't feel really burdened down with this kind of broth.
Okay. Now,
Jane, come, lai.
garnishes. So garnishes, what I have here is some fried shallots. Fried shallots, okay, you can get this bought ready-made, or you can fry them on your own if you know how to do that, okay? Some chopped spring onions for color and flavor. And I also have some fried kale. So fried kale is something I had on the show, and I actually fried it to make it like a crispy kind of garnish. You don't have to do it, but I will show you how I did it on the show, okay? Now for the fried kale, you basically take a leaf of kale. You will need to cut off the stem. So we only want the curly leafy part. This is a curly kale, okay? We only want the leafy part.
And I cannot stress more than enough, what better way to enjoy kale? Kale raw is, horrendous. But kale deep fried or shallow fried can be very interesting, almost like a seaweed.
Yes, so I'm stacking them together, the leaves. And I'm going to just roll them up lengthwise like this so that we can cut it into like a chiffonade. So you can see I'm just stacking it and then we're going to cut them thinly.
Kale chips.
Like a chiffonade.
Okay,
Okay. So you will end up with something like that. Can you see?
Can you see? Then,
Okay, yeah. Then I'm heating up a little bit of oil, just enough so that we can kind of fry this a bit. If you're not sure whether the oil is hot, put in a chopstick, look for bubbles. We want the oil to be hot so that the kale sizzles, but at the same time, we don't want it to be so hot that the kale burns, okay? The kale is a vegetable, it's got a lot of moisture on the inside. So to crisp it up, we need time for it to kind of fry on a medium heat so that it dries up and it becomes crispy. So if I put it in now, there you can see you got that little bit of bubbling there, okay, but you don't see smoke, right? So I'm going to add all the kale in, okay? And
no seasoning, right? I mean, there's nothing at all. It's just clean chopped kale, nothing else to it.
Okay, I'm going to give this a stir. It may splatter. You see the water inside? So yes, it will splatter. Okay, be careful, huh? And then when there are bubbles, it means that there's moisture. You kind of need to fry this on a medium heat until you don't see the bubbles anymore. Okay, and then the kale will be crispy. It will be dry. It will taste a bit like seaweed. Yes, you can actually enjoy them as chips like this as well if you want to. Okay. So we want to like let this fry until you don't see bubbles and it's nice and crisp. At the end of it, when you drain it off on a paper towel, you will end up with crispy kale that looks like this in this.
And it's really fast and easy, right? You don't have to do it for like very long. Can you all see the crispy kale? It's a bit too far, is it? Who is saying? Jane is saying it's a bit too far.
Too far? Okay. Bring it closer to the camera for you. There you go. Okay? Yeah?
And you can really hear the sound. It's really crispy.
Okay.
I think it adds a very nice twist to the entire dish
You
as well.
can salt it a little bit if you want to.
Okay.
Okay?
And fried kale, or baked kale for that matter, really smells really amazing.
So a little bit
I
of
think we have
salt.
done some kale chips before, for those of you who have attended the longer versions of academy classes previously. And it is yet another amazing way. Yeah, it really looks like seaweed, and I think it tastes like seaweed as well.
Okay. So we can now plate up. Okay, let's plate up our egg yolk one.
Okay.
Because it's the nicest looking, right? You can put on your vegetables, right? So on whatever else you want to put as well. Yeah.
Can we do the MasterChef tasting thing?
Tasting? Can. If you
I have to be a little bit greedy lah. Sorry lah. I only got 2 here lah, so I have to take 1 lah. You all have to just watch lah.
Pour some broth over.
Okay. Again, the amazing thing about this sometimes is the simplicity of it, right? The broth really matters, and when you have something like this, very clean, very flavorful, it really makes eating so much more enjoyable. You know, it's so much more fun eating something like this, and it's really clean and healthy at the same time. Doesn't bog you down always. You want something like this all the time. So we have some fried shallots
for flavor.
Okay.
You can top
Crispy
with some
kale.
of that crispy kale.
Amazing.
Okay, and then some chopped spring onions there for color.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't have any chili. Otherwise, some chili would be nice and give you a bit of contrast in terms of like red color.
Okay, can you all see? Yes, Rika, so lucky of me.
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
You want to pour some? Take out one to your bowl. There you go.
Let me try the broth first.
Okay.
Can?
Can.
You know, the minute you have a little bit of spring onion, shallots, of course, it changes the whole dimension of the broth. But the kale really adds on. Yes, Dr. Mark is missing out on this. Shh. Let me enjoy this once in a while, can? The minute you're adding the kale, it really elevates the whole dish. So I must say the kale, although it's really small, but it really matters and it changes the whole thing. Who wants to see? Han Leong wants to see the egg yolk oozing out. I hope it's oozing out because it has been sitting there for quite a while. So you all can see this. Let's use this. Okay. You're going to see this. Wow, my goodness. You can see the whole yolk, you know, really semi-cooked down. Can you see this? How can you not want to put this? Oh, Charlene. The tofu really complements the whole thing, and everything is nicely cooked. 2 minutes was all we did.
About 2 to 3, it depends on how big your egg yolk is, and also the temperature of the water, but I would say about like 2 minutes to 3 minutes or so.
Yeah. The dough is al dente, really nice to the bite. The tofu is really cooked through so perfectly. And 2 minutes. My lucky day. TGIF, thank you so much, madam. This is really amazing. You must try at least doing the egg yolk one, the version once. You must try. I tell you, 2 minutes, you get this perfect runny yolk. It's not overly dry, and it's really simple. Yeah, so you can actually play around now with a few of these ingredients.
So you can change the ingredients around, you can change the filling around. If you're non-vegetarian, feel free to put in some fish paste or prawn meat or whatever,
yes,
or meat,
correct.
Whatever.
Play around with it.
Yeah, you can play around with it. This is a vegetarian version.
Wow, Patricia can add cheese.
Yeah, you could.
You can.
Somebody asked a question about the temperature of the water for the ravioli. I would say it's like a low boil. Because if it's boiling too vigorously, then it's going to break up. It might break up the dumplings. If it's too low, your things are not going to cook well enough. So it needs to be kind of on a low boil. That means you see bubbles, but they are not very vigorous.
Can you're following? It's all good. Can total silence again. Scary. I should be the one totally silent because I'm eating. Wow, Ella, this one you put chili padi. Power.
Forgot to bring down my sambal. Should I brought all my sambal?
Yeah. 1 or 2 slices of chili padi or chili for that matter can really work. Ikan bilis, yes and no lah. That one, of course, if you want to play around with it, you can. Yeah. But in this case, the broth, we are really just using daikon, once again, kelp and soybeans. Yeah. So it really just simple plant-based.
So even though it is plant-based, but a lot of the ingredients that we use have a lot of natural umami. Soybeans, naturally high in glutamates. Same for the daikon, the kelp as well. They are all naturally high in glutamates. Okay. So they are natural umami.
Yeah, I think Dan asked a very good question. If you use prawn, do we cook it longer?
If you use prawn, I would say give it about 3 minutes or so. So the egg yolk will be a little bit maybe thicker, a little bit thicker. You want to ensure that the prawn is cooked, which is also why when I place the paste, I put a really thin layer. I don't put too much because if you put too much, it's not going to have time to cook. So put a thin layer of paste, and then I would say about 2.5 to 3 minutes for if you have a raw seafood or meat. Check one now. If you're not sure, you boil one batch, right? But check one first so you can kind of get the timing before you boil the rest, okay?
Yes, okay. So you must be experimental, okay? You have to try and have a clear mind exactly what you're putting it into the filling as well. Tomorrow, egg ravioli is the welcome appetizer for everyone. Tang kuku. Cannot. How many hundred of you coming? We don't need to set up the whole Conrad kitchen. We will have a better understanding of today's session if I can complete with a real tasting of the food tomorrow. Vivian, okay? Don't worry, she will be there. If you have any questions along the way that you watched, you didn't really understand, please reach out to her. If she's really full, come to me also. I'll be beside her. So we will address all your queries as well. Okay.
Adrian, you talked about the pre-half cooked prawn. I would suggest you use raw because when you pre-half cook, the paste doesn't stick so well because the prawns are already half cooked. It doesn't stick so well. Also, when you half cook, if you hold the paste at room temperature, it is a bit of a food safety hazard.
Yes,
okay, because
correct.
It's pre-half cooked. It's like warm because you have half cooked it. And it's in the temperature danger zone, so high chance of bacterial contamination.
Yeah, please be very mindful of that because it can cause a lot of problems. If you want the egg fully cooked, then definitely you can boil it a bit longer.
Boil it until it's hard.
Yeah.
You press the dumpling, hard, firm.
Dried kelp or fresh kelp?
Dry. Kelp only comes, I would say dry. These come in squares already. We got them from the Korean supermarket at Imperial Mall. It's used to boil stock. You can eat them if you boil them long enough. They're actually soft. They're a good source of collagen, so you can eat them if you want to. Now, this stock is really versatile. You can boil a large batch of it, portion it out into containers or Ziploc bags, and you can freeze them so that when you need stock, you can just take out one bag from the freezer.
Okay. My dear friends, I'm going to ask to have the slides up so we can also share with you a little bit more on what we have just discussed. So again, this is the dish that we have did. Some of the recipes are all here. Don't worry, definitely you will receive it, right? They will have the membership site where they can actually get the full recipes as well. So I will not delve too much into the exact steps. The important thing was to actually watch the whole process, which thankfully you did. Again, please come to us tomorrow, especially to Chef Charlene. I have booked her precious time. She will be there with open arms.
I had to without the mee hoon kueh only.
Without the mee hoon kueh only. Okay, so these are the steps. So now, there are many processes that can ease cooking. So as you can see, we recap a little bit. Plan ahead. The first one I would say is to plan ahead. Decide on the meals you want to do. Why is it important to cook? Because everything that you buy outside is going to be, you're losing discount, plenty of discounts on the nutritional level. Cook on your own, you will get the full benefits. So create a list, what you need, shop once a week. What else can you do to ease the cooking process, Chef?
Well, as I said, you can plan ahead, make things in bulk, portion them up, store them in the refrigerator or the freezer. So do a bit of meal prep. That really helps, because especially if you use your weekends to meal prep and prepare, on the weekdays, you can kind of just grab a box out and you can stir fry the vegetables immediately, or you can cook a simple soup dish, right? So it's not something that requires a lot of time and attention. You can also look into things like one-pot recipes, things where you can cook them together. Now, this is not exactly a one-pot dish. If I wanted to simplify it some more, I could. That means I don't do the egg yolk ravioli. I just boil my stock. I can throw my mee hoon kueh directly in the stock and boil it together, and then we can eat it. So it could be converted to a one-pot dish if you wanted it to. Yeah. Okay. Okay,
some interesting questions. Irene is asking how many egg with mee hoon kueh an adult or child can eat. I would say probably about 2 egg yolks a day,
1 to 2.
For a child and adult. But of course, you can balance it out because there's flexibility because you're doing it on your own. So some of your mee hoon kueh raviolis can be with egg yolk, some can be just with the stuffing. So it can be very interesting. Then the key is to dig the one with the egg yolk. Everybody will start snatching it. Okay. Yeah.
The recipe, it's available online on the portal. If you don't have it, maybe you just hang on till the end and then I'll get the team to just show it on the screen again right at the end. Okay,
don't worry. So let's have the slide up again. We will just share again. What are the other ways? Experiment. Okay, always use different herbs, spices, and seasoning. I know we are always stuck with whatever we have in our kitchen pantry. Stagnant is a no good thing. Always go out of the box. Think of whatever you can find. Try things that you have never tried before. Spices are really cheap. This is the best way to experiment, adding flavors to your cooking. We have always stressed more than enough on this. It's very important to play around with aromatics and spices. And then last but not least, of course, learn from our mistakes.
Yeah. Don't be discouraged. I mean, cooking is very much, I would say, an experimentation. Just try and try again. It took me at least 3 years of experimentation to perfect sourdough bread to a level where I was like happy with it. So you just need a lot of patience and persistence, and you will get better each time, and it gets easier each time.
Yes.
Okay.
Remember, it's no need 10,000 hours lah. But it's always therapeutic. Think of cooking as therapy. It nourishes not only your stomach, your heart, and your soul. To be honest, because the minute you can do something that is home cooked, your family, I believe, whether they like it or not, they will feel appreciated. That is the more important thing. Yeah. Okay. Ken. So now we are at day 6, my dear friends. We are at day 6. Today we are at day 6, which means we have come to the end of all the daily Zoom sharing and sessions and all. It only leaves us to see you tomorrow, bright and early at the Conrad Hotel for the finale. Okay, Manjit? Is it Manjit? Yes. If you have the passion for cooking, it just appears in your mind. But I hope this session has given you some insights, or maybe just some hope, or also at the same time, to ignite your passion once again. It's really just about putting your hands together to create something. Don't worry if it doesn't taste good. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder. You decide for yourself. Loved ones will definitely enjoy it as well. Correct? So Mama Charlene has been feeding us with a lot of food. Some have been amazing. Some have been experimental. But we all feel very loved very, very nourished as well. What is the dress code for tomorrow, Wendy? Come as you are. Come as you are. Okay. Remember lunch on your own at Conrad. Huh? Really? Adrian? Yes, lunch on your own. Okay. Can. Now, before we call it a night, to let you go back and put cucumber on your eyes so tomorrow you can come bright and early, we need a very important session, a few minutes of your time. And I'm going to hand this amazing time over to the very important gentleman in the house. Is he ready? Okay, over to you, Doctor.
Hey, everyone. Hey, boom. All right, can bring down the slides or not, guys? I'm still seeing the slides. All right. Hey, guys, everyone, can you hear me and see me clearly? Chris and Charlene, can you guys hear me and see me clearly as well? All right. Hello there. Wow. I'm live right now in Conrad with the team in preparation for you guys tomorrow. I'm really, really excited. And by the way, how many of you guys are looking forward to be seeing all the incredible speakers tomorrow? Raise your hands or type in at me. Hi, Diana. Hi, Ella. Hi, dear. Hi, Jerome. All right. Yeah. So, okay, we are going to work extra OT. I hope tomorrow I'm still going to look fresh and look good, right? To meet all of you. I'm going to take beautiful pictures. Now, just a quick thing, right? Number one is that make sure tomorrow, all right, you guys are on time. There's a lot of activities happening. It's going to be super fun. Number two is that make sure you have RSVP. My team has inserted the link if you haven't, right? Because some of you missed out the last few days. Now, number three is this, okay? Some of you are asking Chef Chris, what is the dress code for tomorrow? Now, the dress code is put on your best, right? As though it's your shorts and slippers and sarong. You will not be allowed to go in. So although he said come as you please, that doesn't mean you wear your typical kopitiam attire, right? I want you guys to dress up well because tomorrow you're all going to be meeting Ang Jolie, Uncle Sam, you know, Team Strong Silver. We're going to have Edmund Chen. You're going to have a lot of incredible celebrities and very successful people, right? And all of you are successful. You all are stars. You all are celebrities as well. Do you agree with that, everyone? Tell me that yes, you guys agree with this, right? So I want you guys to dress up your best, you know, and to celebrate our journey together. And more importantly, tomorrow is not the end. Everyone, please type in there, start. Type in there, start. Tomorrow is the start. Tomorrow is the beginning of your new chapter that you're writing for your life, right? So I want you all to celebrate tomorrow. Okay, tomorrow is not to say bye and then we're going to sob and, you know, feel sad, right? Tomorrow is you're going to write a new chapter and you're going to be meeting a lot of, you know, amazing community members that you have been doing activities together during the first day, right? Outdoor activities. You're going to be meeting a lot of, you know, friends again that you have met during the incredible Fabric workshop. And we also are going to have our Malaysian members that are flying into Singapore to attend HTC. It's for the first time that you're going to join our amazing big community here. Singaporeans, can we all give a good welcome to our fellow Malaysians that are coming in, right? Yes, right. So I want you guys to, you know, look your best, feel your best. Okay, so please have fun, right? And yeah, that's all. And I'm so excited. And by the way, some of you were asking, right? You know, is there any recording for this entire challenge? By the way, how many of you felt, you know, the importance of the information that we all have been discovering, we have been learning from all the incredible experts? Do type in at me over the last 6 days. Type in at me. All right, thank you. Wow, look at that. That's amazing. Okay. Now, what is important here is this, okay? So the contents are in the membership portal, but the contents will only be available, all right, will only be available, unfortunately, until next week. All right, so it's not a 1 year, it's not a lifetime, okay? But how many of you would wish that you can revisit those contents, right, in the next at least 3 months? Okay, now I'm going to do something special, right? Chris, are you still there, Chris? All right, Chris, are you still there? Let me see. Chef
yes,
Chris,
we are.
Okay, awesome. All right, now what I want you guys to do is this, right? If you guys truly appreciate and enjoy what the amazing speakers, you know, has done, the team has put in this, you know, incredible effort for this entire event, right? I will appreciate if you guys can share your love with us, right? And for everyone that's sharing your love, all right, I'm going to get my team to allow you to enjoy the access for all the 7 days content, right? For the next 3 months. Woo! For free. All right, let me repeat that, for free. Is that okay, everyone? How many think that's great? Give me a thumbs up. All right. So, Chef Chris, let's bring up this amazing QR code, right? Let's bring it right now. Let's bring out the QR code, guys. Okay. So now, if you guys love not only today what Chef Chris have shared, but across all the remaining 6 days with all the incredible speakers, and you truly enjoyed HTC Season 4, right? We would love you all to share your incredible, right, journey by scanning this QR code. Team, please also insert the link in the chat right now. Every one of you that share your joy, right, with us, we truly appreciate you, and in appreciation of that, we're going to extend these amazing contents for you to enjoy and access for the next 3 months for free. All right. So this is just a way of us saying thank you so much. And at the same time, I want this to be an incredible, memory for our team members on the hard work that they have put in, the effort that, we all have created this event, right? I really appreciate that. And by the way, some of you are wishing Shuan, happy birthday, right? Thank you so much as well for that. And actually the birthday girl is here right now. Okay, here you are. This is the birthday girl.
Good evening, everyone.
Yeah. So how many of you think it's amazing that it's her birthday and she's still working and preparing for all of us? Type in there, yes.
Wow.
Type in there, yes.
Yes, we are really working hard
Okay.
to make sure you have a best experience tomorrow. So yes, my birthday is not important. Important is all of you here to have a major breakthrough, okay?
All right, bring down the slides for a while. Bring down the slides for a while because they can't see Shuan here. Bring down the slides for a while, guys. Okay. All right, here you are. So yeah, here you are. Hey, switch the camera. Switch the camera.
Hi, they got to spotlight.
They're gonna spotlight us again. Hey guys, spotlight us so that everyone can see us. Spotlight us.
We can spotlight
Yeah.
ourselves.
Okay.
Yes,
Here you
thank
are.
You.
All right. So
wow.
all the birthday wishes coming to you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much, everyone. Is a very interesting 44 years celebrating. A lot of Chinese very pantang 44, but to me is 事事如意. So it's a good number to start an amazing journey. So how to navigate after 40s? I'm one of the lost phase in the past, but I believe, with the upcoming transformation, we are going to achieve more in life. Okay? Looking forward to see all of you here tomorrow 9:30. Okay?
Yeah. Then we have Adele here as well in the house. All right. And of course, we have, amazing crews here. We got Fatima that came all the way from KL. We got Claude here in the house. Okay. So yeah, see, we are all, we got James here in the house. All right. So we got a whole crew here all working hard. Birthday, no birthday, it's all for you guys. So once again, I'm so excited to see all of you in person tomorrow. And, like I said, if you guys really enjoyed this, and I really appreciate you guys can share your love and your joy. If you all would love to have another HTC Season 5 happening next year. But how many of you want HTC Season 5? Type in at me. How many of you would love to have HTC Season 5? Okay. Wow. Crazy. All right. So now, please share your joy with us in the review. Team, please bring up the slides one more time. And I look forward to see you guys here. Chris, back to you, brother. Back to you. Let's bring up the slides one more time. And Chris, over to you, my friend.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much, Doctor. All right. So you see, really diligently, can they hear? Can So really diligently setting up the place tomorrow. Yes. The link is, yes, my mon is correct. But not to worry. Use the link to really put some thought as well, what you have enjoyed through the whole HTC session. It's like a takeaway, really a point of reflection. It's really good because the minute you put it down in writing or in typing, it really makes sense as to what you have really gathered and learned or experienced in these past few days, which is really important. Okay, so I hope you have thoroughly enjoyed all the sessions together with the speakers, Dr. Mark, Shuwan, and of course, Chef Charlene and myself. We cannot be more than excited enough to see you tomorrow bright and early at the Conrad Hotel. Anything else to share with them, Charlene?
No, that's it.
That's
So
it?
I hope you enjoyed the recipe and the demo, and I look forward to meeting you tomorrow.
Yes. Okay, please come to Chef Charlene tomorrow. The Q&A is open all the way. Just that got no mee hoon kueh only lah. This one disclaimer, no mee hoon kueh first. Okay, but definitely we will have a word with Dr. Mark to see if Chef Charlene can replicate some of the Master Chef finesse and bring it to a class to all of you as well. Okay, thank you very much. Have a lovely, lovely Friday night. In a couple of hours, we will be seeing you, and then we cannot look forward more than enough to see all your amazing faces. Enjoy the session tomorrow. Lots of love. Good Friday. Good night.
Bye.
Bye-bye.